Hi, I'm Mercedes Suarez, and this is my presentation on choline. So, some characteristics in 1998 it was recognized by the Institute of Medicine as an essential nutrient. It's not a B vitamin due to it not having a coenzyme function, and the amount in the body is much greater. It's obtained from the diet and synthesized in cells. Synthesis alone is not sufficient to meet the body's requirement. It's needed for lipid and homeostasis metabolism. It promotes nervous system and liver function, and it's a source of methyl group in the body. So choline has many main functions. It's a component of the phospholipid molecules, phosphatidylcholine and sphingomyelin. So phosphatidylcholine is a component of cell membranes. Sphingomyelin is required for synthesis of myelin, which protects nerve fibers and facilitates transmission of electrical impulses. It functions as a precursor for acetylcholine, which is a neurotransmitter associated with attention, learning, memory, muscle control, and many other functions. It helps prevent fat from accumulating in the liver due to it being required for synthesis and export of VLDL from the liver. It has a role in transport of carnite into tissue, and it helps move fatty acid into the mitochondria for energy production. And it's an important source of methyl group required in many reactions in the body, like amino acid metabolism. And choline forms biotin used to form methionine from homocysteine. So it's absorbed from the small intestine by transport of proteins. The liver takes up choline rapidly from the blood, delivered by the portal vein from the small intestine. All tissues contain some sort of choline. It's often oxidized from the compound biotin. Both compounds are excreted in the urine. So it's found either as free choline or as part of another compound like lecithin. So some whole food sources is milk, eggs, chicken, beef, pork, whole grains, broccoli, squash, oranges, apples, yogurts, cottage cheese, and peanut butter. So from the book and another article I read, there wasn't any recommendations for food preparations. However, from the article I read, it did say that you can, that choline foods can be baked, roasted, boiled, and then fruits and vegetables can be eaten raw, and some with the skin still on. Its reputation, it's known for supporting our brain health and memory, and muscle control, which is true. Choline produces acetylcholine, which is important for our nervous system health and brain health. However, like mentioned before, this is one of many main functions choline has. Some medical uses. Some research has suggested that it might help protect cardiovascular health by reducing blood pressure, altering lipid profiles, and reducing levels of plasma homocysteine. Some phosphatidylcholine can serve as a phospholipid precursor, and it might help support the structure and integrity of neurons, which might promote cognitive function in elderly adults. Some experts theorize that consuming high levels of phosphatidylcholine can reduce progression of dementia in people with Alzheimer's disease. So, deficiencies in the U.S. Choline has not been associated with a deficiency disease. However, liver and muscle damage has been observed in those who have a choline deficient diet. But this is still an active area of research due to choline having a critical role on human metabolism. Role in diseases. Some research shows that choline deficiency can have a role in non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. When choline deficiency happens, fat accumulates in the liver, which can result in non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Having an adequate choline intake is needed for a proper liver function and to prevent NAFLD, but there is a need for more research to be done to clarify the role choline has in preventing and treating NAFLD. So risks of toxicity. So in diets that are high in choline can lead to risks of fishy body odor, which arises from a breakdown product, low blood pressure, vomiting, salivation, sweating, and GI tract effects. So some cool facts. Half of the dietary choline consumed in the US is in the form of phospholine. Lecithin is a common food additive used as an emulsifier agent in processed foods like salad dressings, margarines, and gravies. Breast milk has choline in it and it is added to most common infant formulas. Premenopausal women might need less choline from their diet because estrogen induces the gene that catalyzes the biosynthesis of choline. And then diets that are deficient in folate lead to the rise of dietary choline because choline becomes the primary menthol donor. And then for my research article, in the research article I found, they observed choline intake and its association with cardiovascular disease. Their hypothesis was to determine dietary advice related to choline and investigate the association between dietary choline intake and CVD risks. So they used a cross-section of data from the 2011 to 2016 National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey. Participants were aged 20 or older, those who were pregnant, those missing assessment of CVD, and those without reliable dietary recall status. There was 14,323 participants included in their analysis. CVD outcomes were diagnoses self-reported in a medical condition questionnaire, and then dietary choline intake was obtained from a 24-hour dietary recall interview. And then demographic characteristics were gender, race, education level, marital status, poverty/income ratio, physical activity, body mass, smoking and drinking status, medical history, and laboratory results. So results and conclusions. High dietary choline intake was associated with lower incidence of CVD. Higher dietary choline intake was accompanied by reduced inflammation and heart rate. Participants 16 and older with a BMI less than 30 and with a high dietary choline intake found to be a protective factor of the presence of CVD. And the results overall suggested that adequate choline intake acts against CVD. Some limitations of their study was unknown factors like dietary covariates, total energy intake, and genetic factors could not be completely ruled out. And then another limitation they had was since choline intake information was collected during a 24-hour interview, this led to a limitation due to individuals' diet intake may change over time. And then real-world applications. They had mentioned that their findings may provide a new perspective on the correlation between dietary choline intake and CVD. However, more research needs to be done, and this article can pave the way for more research to be done. And these are references, and that is all about choline.